Now, the next one that we're going to dive into is protein. And so this is the miracle worker. This is doing a lot in your body, and we're going to understand just how our protein is working in our body too. Now, the cool thing is protein is the closest thing we have to a nutritional cheat code. Most women struggle to eat enough of it unless you're aware of it, and it costs you the energy, the shape, and the hormonal growth that you could hormonal health, that you could be achieving if you were eating enough of it. Protein, now we know what calories are. Protein per gram is 4 calories per gram. So what does protein actually do? This is where it's pretty cool. Protein does a few amazing things. It obviously does some awesome stuff to build our muscle, to aid our recovery, but it also helps to slow digestion down. So this is where it can be really handy when we're choosing to eat better foods and we're wanting to not overconsume calories. When we're having a high protein and lots of veg in our diet or in our plate, we're going to find that we're satisfied for longer because we're physically slowing down the digestion process in comparison to if we were having some highly processed foods. Next, it also obviously increases satiety because you're staying full for longer. It helps to stabilize your blood sugar by stabilizing the blood sugar curve. Again, when food is able to move slowly from the stomach to the small intestine instead of just going like a kapow straight into there, you're going to find that you'll be more satisfied for longer. You're going to find that the blood sugar ride, the blood sugar roller coaster, instead of it going like a big and then a big it has a more gradual rise and a more gradual drop, which is really, really nice. It also helps to support neurotransmitter production. Now, basically, think of neurotransmitters as little people in your brain that help to send signals that, hey, it's time to focus more, or hey, it's time to be a little bit more happy. It's time to be a little bit more relaxed. They can be really beautiful. It also obviously helps to build that lean tissue that we work so hard and train with, helps us to repair our muscles, and it supports skin, hair, nails, and immune function. So when it comes to protein, ticking off a whole bloody lot, it really does. So this is where, coming into just going over that one more time before I hit next, I forgot we had our diagram now. So when it comes to protein supporting basically the building blocks of your body, see it as exactly that. When I'm eating this meal, it's helping to create the physique, the body, and the health that I'm stepping into every day. And I am embodying more and more every day. Now, the really cool thing here is this is where in a study, these researchers overfed study subjects on one of 3 diets. And what's really cool is overfeeding is a period of we're not eating now at our maintenance range. So we're now out, so our maintenance number, we've then got our bottom of our maintenance range and our calorie deficit, we've got the top of our maintenance range, and we've got our calorie surplus. These people were in a calorie surplus for a prolonged period of time, and what's really cool to see is that the 3 diets was a low protein diet, a normal protein diet, and high protein diet. And what's really cool to see is that yes, even though we can see more weight may have been gained in comparison to the low protein, look at the difference in total fat mass gained on the low protein diet, and you can see that we actually lost lean body mass in this study. So you were eating more calories, you were training hard, but you physically couldn't repair, or I don't know if they were training, so I'm actually not going to say that, but hypothetical situation, you can see they're not retaining lean body mass. But then we have a look at the normal diet and you can see we put on a bit of lean body mass, which is cool, but we still put on quite a bit of fat mass, still put on a little bit of body weight, but we really see this shine here where look how close that is, okay? Overfeeding, it doesn't mean that you magically won't lose body fat, or you magically won't gain any additional body fat and you'll just put on muscle. But it is something really important to note that with overfeeding, if you're having enough protein, we're building that metabolic tissue that will make it so much easier to enter a fat loss phase successfully and lose body fat and reveal a different physique underneath by practicing a high protein diet. So protein, we already touched on our thermic effect of food, and this is where TEF for short, protein has the highest thermic effect. So we're going to burn the most amount of calories when we're eating our protein. It's literally more metabolically expensive. So when we think of that in layman's terms, it's like it costs you more to keep it running. And because it costs you more calories wise, you then obviously might be inclined to eat more. You'd think, shouldn't I be more hungry if I'm eating more protein? But protein slows down satiation, or it increases satiation. It slows down digestion. So it's actually not going to make you much more hungry, but it will allow you to burn calories at a higher rate. So again, instead of that engine humming like below E, we're really coming up to being able to learn to make our engine hum at a much higher RPE. With low protein, this is where we can see that this triggers overeating. So without protein, our brain will seldom get the I am fed signal and we will tend to overconsume our food. This is where I felt it. I'm sure you felt it. The bottomless pit. You just can't stop eating, and you've made a meal and then you finish eating your meal and you want to go back and eat something else. You want another snack and you're like, should I have another snack? Shouldn't I be hungry? Not hungry. I just ate. It's so frustrating. And this is why when we have a look at our diet overall and we see that there might be a lot of processed foods, they're typically made in a way that helps us to want to eat more of them. So they're made to break down quick, so we're hungry sooner. Protein is not made like that. It's made the opposite. Now, women typically need a little bit more protein than they think, but it's not just because we are tiny and we need to put on more muscle, but it's because we typically have a lower baseline muscle mass. So what our body can maintain is a little bit different to our male counterparts who have a little bit more testosterone running through them. They're able to potentially not consume as much protein, but still manage to have like a lean physique. And I'm sure you've seen this as well. You've seen males who they'll eat whatever they want, or they don't eat that much, but they also don't train that much. And then they've still got these really strong looking muscles. They might not be the biggest bodybuilder in the gym, but if we don't train and we don't eat that well, we're a lot more soft. And that's not a problem. It just means that, again, we get to choose, hey, I get to eat high protein and it gets to help to fuel my body to function and recover better. It also helps with hormonal sensitivity. So we're much more vulnerable to external stresses in our life. And being much more vulnerable to external stresses in our life means that if we're getting really stressed, getting really hungry, and we're like, I gotta eat because it's gonna help to relax me, it will help to relax you. Carbohydrates are, we're not talking about carbs, but carbohydrates are a precursor to serotonin, and serotonin is one of our happy hormones. So of course when we're stressed we want to eat. It makes total sense. But this is where, again, making sure that we are eating more protein than what we may be currently eating can really help our body to thrive, to function, and to recover well. Also, there's greater demand on our body during stress, and then we're more prone to that metabolic adaptation when dieting. So now, before, remember, we talked about how you've got your maintenance range and you've got a chronic dieter who the more you diet, the more that the moment the calories drop, your body's like, I'm not safe. I'm reverting all systems down. I'm turning your thyroid down. We're getting rid of your period. We are preserving you so you don't die at whatever cost. And that's what our body does when we diet. Some women who may have gone through periods of eating more food, they might not notice that happen to them as much, and they might have a really successful fat loss phase. Some women who may have been chronically dieting may find otherwise, or chronically stressed. So a fun fact is, for every year over 40, the body's ability to absorb protein slightly decreases, and this makes protein of even greater importance for muscle, bone health, and longevity. And so basically, for a nice little rule of thumb, if you're watching this and you're over 40, then add 0.1% to your total protein goal for every year above 40. So this is a really good example I like to highlight. This is Joan McDonald. And Joan McDonald is Michelle McDonald's mum, who's a really cool bodybuilder, very successful in FMG. And this is her mum. Now, her mum started training in her 70s. And this is something that as a woman, we can feel like it's too late. I should have started younger. I'm not going to be able to get into this. I'm too sore. I'm too tired. But we really see here, practicing strength training and eating a good diet, we can see just what sort of a power it can have. And it's not about age in this instance. But we see here, it's about changing and about making a new choice. So when you see this, and you might speak to your parents, you might be around 70 and watching this, which if you are, hello. This is where you get to make a choice for something better. And this is where it's not like I've got to eat chicken and rice every single day and broccoli, and I don't want to eat the same foods every day, but it's small little actions that move the needle, like making sure you get a high protein breakfast, lunch, and dinner in, or at least your main meals you get protein in, and then supplement. It's so easy these days to supplement with a good quality cow or goat's milk protein powder is what I recommend, or collagen if you've got a bit more of a sensitive tummy, to get some of those protein building blocks working in your body, and obviously, as you can see, transforming your physique. Cool. Coming into carbohydrates, I will catch you in the next one.